Hello, it's Ivaldi and Sako here. Welcome to the Ivaldi Sako podcast. In this episode, I'm going to tell you about procrastination, the 3 steps to stop procrastinating easily, for good. And these are going to be 3 questions to ask yourself and find the answers. And once you do, it's really easy to stop procrastinating. I actually did this week, and it worked tremendously well. And once you apply this, you're going to be able to get more things done. And you're also going to be able to become more decisive and get even more things done, even when you don't procrastinate, right? You get things done. This thing is going to help you get things done even more and faster and help you become more decisive. And how I'm also going to tell you about why decisiveness is so crucial for you to be able to make so much more progress with your goals. And at the end, I'll also tell you about how to make the work easy to do, right? Because sometimes the work you don't feel like doing the work. I'm going to tell you how to just make it feel good and easy to do. And also at the end, I'll tell you about a quick situation, how I calmed down a heated situation, right? I came across a heated situation. People were angry, and yeah, I'm going to tell you about how I calm things down, and it's going to be useful to you as well if you want to calm things down in some situations in your life, right? If you're new here, my name is Ivaldi Sako. I'm the founder of origrowth.com, and here I try to help ambitious entrepreneurs build an empire, live a great life. And even if you're not an entrepreneur, you want to just get things done, right, and improve your life and live an awesome life that is worth living, right, and squeeze the juice out of life. Try to just become truly free and successful, make a lot of money, but also help a lot of people, right? If this interests you, I suggest you subscribe because you're going to get a lot of value from this show. Let's get into it. Here are the 3 steps. So, I was listening to the Diary of a CEO podcast, and I got these 3 questions from the guest. I don't remember his name, but it was really useful, and here it is. So, the first question to ask yourself is this, but make sure that you ask yourself this question with the intent of getting the answer and trying to look for the answer, and follow me like this, right? When I ask you this question, think of the answer, and then with this answer, ask yourself the next question. And this way you're going to be able to just have a plan to stop procrastinating. So, first question. What are the tasks that I consistently procrastinate on? Maybe it's sending emails, making the phone calls. It's studying a big subject, trying to start a new project. What are the tasks that I consistently procrastinate on? Once you have an idea of this, you're going to ask yourself the second question. So maybe for me, at one point it was sending emails, replying to emails, right? I had a lot of emails, I had to reply to them, and I just was procrastinating on this for a long time. I was not answering people for a long time because I didn't know what to do, and I'm going to tell you here, the second question to ask yourself. When you think of this task, what are the negative emotions these tasks are stirring up, right? What emotion I feel when I think of this, of doing this, or I need to do this, right? When I was thinking of, I need to send these emails, I need to reply to all these people, I was feeling like, I can't, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to say, I'm afraid of confrontation. Sometimes people will ask, are angry or anything like this, right? And you're afraid, right? Maybe this is the emotion, and oftentimes it is fear, right? Procrastination is just an emotional thing. It's not something that you're just because you're lazy. It's not who you are. You're not a procrastinator. You have maybe a habit of procrastinating, but really it's just something that you do, and you just can stop doing it once you realize, okay, what is the root cause of me doing this? Why do I behave this way? And so once you are aware of this emotion, immediately it starts becoming easier to actually do the thing because you see it for what it is. You see, okay, I'm afraid. And I like to ask myself, what would I do if I was not afraid? Right? I heard this from Alex Hormozi, I believe. What would I do if I was not afraid? And so I try to do this. Now, it's still a little hard to do things when you're afraid. So you can ask yourself the third question. How do you change these emotions you're feeling on this task that you consistently procrastinate on? How do I change those emotions? I need to send emails. I'm afraid. I'm afraid of confrontation. I don't know what to say. How do you change this emotion? You make it easy for you to do the thing. So you basically, every problem, when you just reverse it and you find a solution. So, it's hard to send it's hard to send emails. I don't know what to say. So solve this little problem. Define exactly what to say. And the one thing that I really ask myself, and I listened to the Ed Mylett podcast, and on one of his episodes, he said, I don't do first things first. I do feared things first. And this was extremely powerful because once I did this, everything became easy for me to send emails, for example. So these emails, I was procrastinating on them for a long time. At one point, I was supposed to always send them in the afternoon, right? Because it is not something really important. And I didn't need to do a deep work, really focus in the morning, first thing in the morning. But I was afraid of doing them. So once I just took them from the afternoon to the morning, to the first thing I did in my day, because I was afraid of these, I did the first things, the feared things first. I actually did it. I actually just wrote down exactly what to say. I realized just doing it, there was not much to be afraid of. And then it was easy. And then I don't procrastinate on doing this anymore. So you can move things that you're afraid of doing in the morning. When you procrastinate on something, decide, okay, I'm going to do this. The first thing I'm going to do is this. And make it easy. Just try to do it. Do just one. If you just decide, okay, I'm going to do just 1 minute of this, 10 minutes of that. And once you do this, you're very likely to do the whole entire thing that you need to do. So this was really, really useful. And the next thing is, I learned this week, because basically on this podcast, if you're new here, I document what I learn during my week, right? So I learn new things, or I remind myself of new things during the week, and I like to just tell you about my experience and document the process as I try to grow a big business and try to evolve as a person. So I also noticed that I'm trying to always become more decisive, right? And I struggle a lot with being decisive. I'm just afraid, right? I procrastinate on being decisive because I'm afraid of making the wrong decision. And all you need to do is just realize it's not a big deal to make the wrong decision as long as you can pivot. And at one point I had to get a haircut, and I cut my hair myself, right? I don't have the time to just go to the barber shop and then come back and do the hair salon. It's a mess for me. I don't like it, and it costs money, it costs me time. So I prefer just to cut my hair really quickly. It's just basic cut. And anyway, so I had to do this, and at the same time something else came up, and I didn't know, I was not sure, I was not certain that I will have the time to do both. At one point I was like, do I do this? Do I do that? Do I cut my hair right now, or do I do this? And I immediately realized, I remembered that if I hesitate, because it happened so many times, if I hesitate, I'm going to end up not doing both, right? If I hesitate, I'm going to just waste time and not do any of them. So I might as well just decide fast, I'm going to do this first, and then if I have the time, I'm going to do the other thing, right? I just decided fast, okay, I'm going to do this thing, and then I will probably have the time to do the other thing. And I decided I was going to do both, right? I decided, okay, you know what? I'm going to do things fast. And I'm going to do both things, and both of them I'm just going to get them done. And I actually got them done, right? And I know for a fact that if I just hesitated a little bit more, I was going to waste a lot more time, and I was not going to either not cut my hair or do the other thing that I need to do, right? It was a reminder to myself to just, okay, be decisive, because once you decide, everything becomes easier. And when you are decisive, and for me, this is the way that I became more decisive, just realizing and really understanding the power of being decisive. When you are decisive, you get a lot more things done, a lot faster. You erase fear, because fear is just like a fire. Like if you let it grow, it's going to take over you. But if you stop it right away and you just decide and you just do it immediately, fear has no time to just grow, right? If you stay and hesitate, for example, if you are trying to go and talk to someone in the street, right? You try to go and talk to a girl. If you hesitate, this hesitation and the more time you spend hesitating is going to cause you to stress more and to stress more and to stress more. At one point, you're just so afraid you didn't do anything, and you just like afraid, like really, really afraid. When if you just decided right away, okay, I'm going to talk to this, and you go right away, you had like fear had no time to take place, right? It didn't have the time to just be in the first place, right? You had no fear because you just acted immediately. And not only that, when you decide, even if it's not the best thing that you decide, right? If you choose, if you make a choice and it's the wrong one, either way, you're going to have the time to do it and pivot and do the next things faster, right? So you're not only like, it's not only good on the short term, you are able to get a lot more things done in a day just because you are decisive. And yeah, if it's hard to always be decisive, but it's a habit to take, right? It's a habit that you're a procrastinator, right? You're not a procrastinator, it's a habit. You always procrastinate. But you can create the new habit of always being decisive and just do it immediately. So yeah, I was also at one point listening to, I was trying to multitask, right? And multitasking is just not the way to go. In my work, I have things that I've automated a lot of the processes in my business, for example, and sometimes I just need to do, to push a quick buttons, right? And then I need to wait for a minute, right? I need to wait for a minute. I don't have anything to do, and I need to stop, right? I need to do one thing every single minute. And during this minute, I was watching a movie. I was like, okay, I can watch a movie while doing this. I just need to push a few buttons and then I'm going to watch a movie. And I did this. And at one point, I carried this into sending emails. And sending emails is also automatic for me. I just built a lot of templates and just like, I know I just need to push a few buttons and I send the email. And yeah, I did that. And after I finished doing these activities, I was feeling like I was just not getting anything done. And in fact, I had made a mistake. I was doing everything doing them poorly. I was watching a movie, not enjoying the movie. I was doing my emails and not sending them properly. And I got an answer from a prospect that was telling me, hey, I know you didn't send this email to me. This is not my name. I think I messed up her name, right? And this cost me business. This cost me to get a pretty great client. And yeah, when you try to do multiple things at a time, you do them both poorly. But in the contrary, when you do one thing, you're more like at peace. Like you feel good because you do this one thing, you do it well, and you almost have more time, right? You win, you gain time because you do this thing more efficiently and better, And so by multitasking, what you're trying to do when you multitask is to try to do things faster, right? And you do this when you don't have the time, right? But in reality, you waste more time when you multitask than when you don't, when you focus on one thing at a time. And so yeah, this was a reminder to me to just stop multitasking. Instead of just when you choose to do one thing, you do one thing and this only thing, and that's it. You don't do anything else. Because if you do, you're just going to waste more time. And after that, I was like, okay, I'm going to stop watching movies. And I'm Christian. And it was the start of the 40 days Lent, right? So I'm not going to stop eating meat for my part. I'm going to do my own version of Lent, because to me, like, I only eat meat and rice, right? If I eat something else, I'm just going to have allergies, right? So the Lent, the goal of the Lent is just to stop doing something that you think is not necessarily this good for you. At least this is the way I view it, right? The way I think about it. And you try to do something that will get you closer to God and, yeah, better your life on the long term when you might do something that is not necessarily good for you, right? So I stopped eating sugar, right? But I just didn't already eat too much sugar. And this is a kind of like, I think it's more of a Lent to stop doing the things that you really enjoy doing and you really have the desire for, than stop eating meat and just eat fish instead of meat the entire week, and you call this a Lent, but you just ate a bunch of sugar and you just enjoyed yourself as much, maybe even more than usual. It's not really a Lent. A Lent is just sacrificing. It's doing something that it's not doing something that you really would want to do, right? But this thing is not necessarily as good for you as, something else. So for me, one of these things is eating sugar. On the weekend, I allowed myself to eat a protein bar. I know you kind of like, Ivaldi, what kind of dude are you? Like, that's it? This is your thing? You stop eating a protein bar because there's a little bit of sugar in it? No, it's not just that. Okay, I just stop distracting myself. And I stop watching movies. And I was starting to watch a TV show, right? Reacher on Prime. I watched like 3 episodes, I think. And I started to get like a little bit hooked on it. And I know I was addicted at one point to just watching a lot of just binge watching TV shows when I was younger. So I was like, maybe this is coming back. And I was like, this is the perfect opportunity for me to just stop. So I stopped. And next thing you know, I just think in a more clear way. I am able to enjoy my work better. I am able to get more things done. Actually, this week I was really like, this is not the case for this week, and it's not in its entirety, because I just started this and I feel like I have the kind of a down period, right? I just feel like I need to watch movies again. I need to distract myself. I feel like this urge coming back again. So I'm just trying to not get back into it, right? And not allow myself to watch Netflix again. So I was not necessarily as productive as before, but I was able to have more time to think about my business and to have new ideas coming. And also my goals became more important. And I started becoming more obsessed with my goals automatically. Just because I don't have anything better to do, I might as well work. I might as well think about business, right? But if you have like movies, TV shows, and you have a lot of distractions, you watch YouTube videos that are just entertaining videos, you have a lot of things that are better to, like, you enjoy more than working on your business, right? So when I stopped my distractions, I was able Sorry, there's a guy that I know. I was able to get more things, like, overall, I was able to get more things done. Also, before that, I was, I'm going to tell you about how I handled this heated situation that I encountered in the street. Like, there was one guy that was screaming at two teenagers, I guess. Like, maybe two guys in their 20s, something like this. And they were, like, about to throw hands at each other, I think. They were, like, really angry, making big gestures with their hands. And, but before that, let's go back in time. I was at church, and I was, the priest talked about destroying the walls between us and others, right? Like, sometimes there's like a separation between you and others. You try to put this front image, or maybe you're judging people, you don't like them, or you just don't have the time for them, which I'm always doing. Like, I don't have the time, right? Yeah, I was talking about destroying these walls. And you destroy these walls with love, with trying to care for another, like you just would care for yourself, right? And at one point, I also just said something that resonated with me. I was like, this is useful. What does Jesus need to heal me from? And so these are, even if you're not religious, it allows you to think of, okay, what problem do I have right now that I need to fix, right? And but this question in particular, what does Jesus need to heal me from? It tells you, okay, what do you need to pray for that is important, right? Something like, okay, Jesus is not going to, what problem do I have right now? I have this thing in my business. It's not perfect, right? I just but something important is like health, first of all. And also, it's something that will allow you to get closer to Jesus and to God. And for me, this was distractions as well. Like, being distracted constantly and having, maybe sometimes, honestly, having judgment toward people and not opening myself to people. Anyway, after that, I just watched Death Business with Jamie Foxx in it. And in the movie, it's basically how do you call it? A case, right? There's a lawyer fighting another lawyer trying to defend a case. And basically, they win the case. One of them win the case, but I don't want to spoil it. It's a pretty good movie. Some of them win the case. They win the case based on the history of the company. And I was like, okay, this is true. And this is not only on the history of the company, but also about the story that the lawyers told. And the jury just based their decisions with their biases, right? So they were biased toward the story that they liked better, and toward the emotion that they felt toward a certain person or company, toward a certain side, right? Instead of just looking at the facts. Like, the facts were engraved in the story, but the story was more important. Because this is actually what makes people move. This is what moves people. And so I was like, okay, this is the most important thing. If you want to win someone over, convince someone, persuade someone, you need to move them with the emotions, and you need to also to appear to the nobler motives, right? To the noble desire that you have, right? Not something like selfish, right? If you are trying to win a case because it's your right and you are greedy, right? People are like, the jury might not be convinced or persuaded, but if you're trying to win this case because you want to make things right, you want justice, and this is the nobler motive, right? And you want to better this community's life, right? And so this is this is the thing that appear to noble motives. And I used this actually when I encountered this heated situation. But right before I encountered this situation, it's funny because I was listening to Ed Milet, and he was talking about giving love to others and understanding and not judging because you don't know what some people may go through, right? And he was telling us about a story where he was at a restaurant, a nice restaurant, and there was a family with kids, and the kids were just completely like misbehaving, screaming, and just bothering everybody, right? And him included. And at one point he was like kind of like judging the parents and judging like, can you not just tell your kids just to shut up, right? He didn't say that, but this is the point. And at one point he just calmed himself and he tried to, somebody else cannot control my emotions, right? I want to feel a certain emotion. I want to feel good here. I'm going to feel good here. It's not dependent on them. So this is a part of you can control how you feel no matter the external circumstances. But also, a week later, someone told him about this family and how they were going through at one point when they were in the restaurant, they were coming back from the funeral of the grandmothers of the kids, right? And he was like, oh my God, this is how they were coping, basically with their grandmother being like dead. And so this is a reminder to him to not judge anybody, right? Not judge. You don't know what people are going through, and just keep have love toward them. And I was listening to this in the afternoon, but in the morning I read the passage from the Bible of a moment when a woman pours perfume on Jesus' head and she gives love to Jesus' head even though she's a sinner, right? Everybody judges her, but Jesus says, she's given me more love than any of you, right? And he was telling us about how you need to give more love, right? And then I just see, right in front of me, the guy and the two younger guys in a heated debate, really angry at each other. And so I went there. I was like, kind of stressed a little bit. I was like, do I interfere? Do I just I don't want to waste my time. I don't know who's right, who's wrong. And so I went inside them. And I was like, hey guys, is everything okay? And then the older guy looked at me and he was like, oh yeah, everything's good. And I noticed immediately he was drunk. And the first thing that I thought, I was like, there's a judgment immediately. I don't like people that are alcoholics, that are just, I have this bias toward them. I have this I don't like that. I don't like seeing that. I don't like he was getting close to me and, his breath smelled pretty bad. But I decided I was trying to calm things down, right? And so I just said, is everything okay? And then I just shut up. I used silence. And he started telling me about everything that happened, right? Oh, this happened and this happened, but he looked at me bad and just, and then the other guy was screaming, I didn't look at you bad. What are you talking about, right? And I was just listening. I was like, yeah, I understand you. I understand. You're right. I hate it as well when people look at me bad. And I wanted him to feel understood, right? This is the way I just showed love to him, right? I was like, I understand you. I really understand you. And he felt understood. And so immediately he kind of calmed down, right? And at one point I gave him an example. And I was trying to look at the other guys come on, just he's drunk, come on. And he was telling me about the problem and everything, and then I was like, yeah, I agree, but at the same time, and at the same time, not just saying but, because if I say but, it just seems like what I meant first was not really what I meant, right? It was like I just give you a compliment, oh, you're good at everything, but it's just like everything that I just said was just erased, right? But if you say and, it's just like something that you add on to. And so I was like, at the same time, one time I had like a 15-year-old kid, and he was looking at me mad, and I just got mad, and it was not his fault. He didn't do it on purpose, and immediately he was like, "Oh, really?" Right? And he was drunk, so he was like, "Oh, really?" And he calmed things down, right? And then after that, the other guy started like, "Yeah, you see," but I didn't look at him bad, right? And yeah, just things got a little heated up again, but like it was like a lot calmer than before. I was like, okay, I think it's a good ROI on my time right now. I'm going to start here. I can't like, people just, both of them had to wait at this place. I was like, I can't wait. I don't know how much time they're saying here, so I just went my way. I was like, okay guys, look, everything's fine, right? And they were like, yeah. And the drunk guy was like, I'm against violence. I was like, no, he was not. He was actually like just threatening the guys. But because he said that, I was like feeling like kind of relieved, because, there's like kind of this bias of coherence. So if he said that, and especially because he was just angry at one of the guys, he kind of had to stay a little bit, at least, coherent. So I was like, okay, they're gonna be fine. They're not as angry at each other as before. I went away, and I think I did something good, right? I felt good about myself after that. If you like this podcast, even though I feel like I was kind of tired doing this episode, like this show, and listen to the next one, or the one previous to this one, because I bet you they're just like a lot better than this one. Anyway, hope that you liked it. If you did, like it, share it, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care and stop procrastinating. You have the 3 questions now to stop this, right? Take care.